Hello everyone, my name is Diana. I love colorful eyeshadow and I'm also very indecisive. And I got this video idea from Makeup with Michelle. She did a video duping the recently deceased palette, which is that green and purple palette from Melt from their BeetleJuice collection. And I was like, why not do both but with things in my own collection? So I thought it'd be good to record it. And I'm sorry, this video is going to probably be long. So grab a snack, grab a drink, grab tea, whatever you drink. And if you want to watch, go ahead. The reason why I thought it'd be good to record this video and publish it is because I know not everyone has the funds to purchase palettes at the speed that these are coming out. But there's a lot of releases coming out and maybe you don't know if you want it or not. So maybe look into your collection and see if you have anything similar to maybe put you off from buying it. So that's what I'm doing. And yeah, I will be doing swatches of the dupes and I will be doing this look for both eyes. So yeah. So if that sounds like something you would like to see, keep on watching. Okay, so I apologize for any background noise. I cannot control that. But the first palette we are going to be duping is the one called The Waiting Room. I'll put a picture hopefully. That one has burgundies and grays. And that one most resembled to me the Melt Muerte palette in the terms of burgundies and the grays. But obviously this isn't available no more, so I wanted to put mostly palettes that can be purchased still. So there's one I think that is limited edition, so it's over, but for the most part you can buy them still. So the first shade in that Waiting Room palette is called Obituary, and that one most resembled to me the color called Chili Pepper in the Be Perfect Carnival 3 palette. I'll swatch it. It is kind of a red burgundy, but not as deep as a true burgundy. You guys can see that. It looks red on camera, but it does have some burgundy to it. The next shade in the Waiting Room palette is called No Exit, I believe. And that one to me resembled the color Sangria from the Salvaje ColourPop palette. You can see it looks more red on camera, but it is deeper than the last shade, which is good because the one in the Melt one appears to be darker. The next shade is called Saw Girl. I did not have an exact dupe for that one because it's such an interesting shade, but the closest I could get to it was this shade from the Be Perfect palette called JJ right here. And it's pretty, but it's not as rich as the Saw Girl, but I still thought I'd include it as a dupe in case some of you already have this palette and don't want to go out and spend more money. The swatches are horrible. I will be doing a close-up after, but yeah. The next shade is Dante Inferno, which is like a dark brown kind of bricky color, and that to me resembled the Crimson Blood from the Pat McGrath palette. I got this one on sale, and it's pretty rich. It has some sort of, it's like a brick, brown and burgundy, so I thought it looks similar. Obviously, I'm basing all these dupes on one picture, so I'm going to be off for the most part. But based on the pictures, it is kind of close. And the next shade is called Lydia, and I immediately thought of this palette, the Drop Dead Gorgeous by BH. This one wasn't controversy, but I bought it before people started to give opinions about it. But I do enjoy the color scheme and everything. And Lydia resembled this color called The Devil Wears It. It's very pretty, and it's like a red shimmery color, so cute. And a lot of these are gonna look matte on camera because I'm horrible at showing swatches, but they do have shimmer. The next shade is called Charman. I think that's what it's called. It's like a gray black kind of charcoaly color, and the closest I could find to that kind of gave me more gray vibes is from the Nomad Cosmetics Tokyo palette, the shade called Visual Kai K, and it is that gray right there. This formula of this palette is so soft, it's unreal. But yeah, I lean a little bit more gray than black. Maybe I thought it would work out. This is what we have so far. Very nice. The next shade we have is called Tombstone, which is a bit of a lighter gray, which reminded me from this Milani palette, the Beautiful Nightmare. It just came out like last month, and it's called, the shade I'm choosing is the gray called Grave Digger, and it's a matte gray. Guys, see that? It's lighter. I'll do a close-up later, but it's lighter than the other one. For the next shade called Shrunken Hand, I chose this Certified palette. It's a rainbow one, but it still has a gray and a black. And this gray did appear similar to the other one, but this one swatch is much lighter. And when you put it next to it, it is much lighter. The next shade is called Juno, and that's kind of like a silvery brown kind of color. At first I thought it'd be this one from Milani, but then I leaned towards more this color called Night Terror, which is like a kind of chunky kind of shadow. I don't quite enjoy the formula, but the color swatched is simply, my hands are so stained from the other ones. Let me get a fresh finger. But it's pretty close, I think. It's not as bright silver, it's like a more toned down silver. You can see right there. Oh, it's so stunning. Alright, the last shade in the Waiting Room palette is that white shade. What I believe is white. It could be a white gray. I don't recall the name, but what I found closest was from NBA Cosmetics Neon palette. It is their single shade called White Lightning. It's super creamy, and here's the shade name, White Lightning, and it swatches so like nice. I don't know how else to describe it. All my fingers are kind of dirty, but I think the least dirty one is this one. This is a swatch. It's so pretty. And this is it next to the other ones. And now I'm going to do a close-up for you guys. Here are all the dupes that I got, in my opinion. Obviously, I feel like Melt, their shadows may appear these colors, but most of the time they apply a lot richer with the more of a black base, so they may not be spot on. But for the pictures, I think they do sort of match. And yeah, I'm pretty content with these dupes. Alright, the next palette we are duping is the Recently Deceased, which is this green and purple color story. And this is the look I did with my dupes for that one. It's so pretty. For the Recently Deceased, I couldn't read the shade names because I'm blind, but I'll go off by the colors and I'll show an image. So the first color, which I thought was like a green yellow, I thought the Ace Beauty palette right here kind of matched that vibe. It's this one, Flare palette, yeah. And this is a swatch, very bright. The next shade is a dark green, and I thought of the Tribe palette by Juvia's Place in this shimmery color right here. There are a lot of dark greens. It's a pretty common color. I'll include more pictures of other palettes I have that have dark greens on the screen, so it's definitely dupeable. And this is the shade Far Away. The next shade in the palette is a mustard kind of yellow green kind of color. I didn't have anything close to that, like exact I mean. The closest I could find is from this e.l.f. palette I decorated with stickers, but it is the e.l.f. Jade Kiss a collab palette. This color called Paloma really looked like a mustardy to me, so that's what I'm going to use. And this is the swatch. Far Away. The next shade is like a gold kind of greeny color, and I thought of the Kaleidos Sci-Fi palette. I'm not sure what number it is, but it's the shade right here called Glamora. It's so like creamy and just nice goodness. This is the color. Gonna swatch it. So look at that. So the next one is a dark purple and a shimmer format, and I thought of the Juvia's Place, the mini palette, the Violets. and I wasn't sure which of the two kind of matched the most, but I think this one is darker, kind of gives me more of that melt vibe, so I'm going with this one right there. Here it is, Far Away. The next shade is a bright matte purple, and the Book of Magic by Beauty Bay has a purple that I thought looked kind of similar. It's in the color called Sorcery right here. It's very in your face kind of vibes, and let's get this. Can you see that one? It's this one right here. Very bright for sure. It is Far Away. I'll be doing a close-up as well for this one. So yet again, we're picking JJ from the Be Perfect palette. It kind of gives me that magenta vibe as well. And this one's pretty spot on, I feel like, to the color that the the Melt palette has right here. There it is. Alright, the last shade is like a magenta purple matte. And for this, it could be either Therapy Sesh or the Certify color in Shazia. It's very close as well. Or any of these, honestly. They're very pretty. So, let me swatch Shazia. And there it is. Alright, and here is a close-up of the dupes I got for the recently deceased. It's a very unique kind of color story. I don't have the exact tones, but the shades are mostly similar, I hope. Okay, so those are the dupes that I got for both palettes. Obviously, I could be completely off because I'm just basing off photos. I've not seen any videos of other people review it. I know Annette's Makeup Corner, I think that's her YouTube name, ordered the PR box, so I'm hoping to see her review. But I know that Melt shadows tend to appear very nice in the pan, and they apply much richer on the eye, so I can't tell if that's going to happen or not. But for the most part, I'm just basing off one photo, so hope you guys cut me some slack. But now we're going into the eyeshadow looks I did with both. You know, I'll be doing a voice over, yeah, that's what it's called, because my family is super loud, or was super loud when I filmed this. So yeah, I'm going to prime each eye with the e.l.f. concealer in the shade Medium Beige. Alright, so on this side we're going to be using the Waiting Room palette dupes. That's that burgundy gray palette. I first applied the white shade from the NBA Cosmetics palette called White Lightning. It was not as potent and bright as I wanted it to, but it did the job. Then I'm using that chili pepper shade from the Tahiti Carnival palette, and I'm building it up. First I'm packing it, and then I'm going to blend it out all the way to the top. Then I'm using the Sangria shade from the ColourPop Salvaje palette, and I'm putting that the same as I did as the other shade, but just adding more depth. And now with a different brush, I'm using one of the grays and applying that to give more depth as well, but it just turned a bit more brown. Now I'm doing a cut crease with the same concealer as my base, and I'm using an angled brush to line out that crease. Then I decided to do a gradient with the shades that mimic Sod Girl, the color called Ladia, and the dark brown called Dante's Inferno in that Melt palette. I decided to move on to the other eye, and I started with that mustard from the e.l.f. J. Kissa palette, and then moved on to the green kind of yellow from that Ace Beauty palette, and it was kind of being patchy, which was kind of sad, but it ended up alright at the end. Okay, I built it up that purple from the Jaclyn Hill palette in the shade Therapy Sesh. It was alright. Then I built it on top with the Book of Magic Sorcery shade, and that's so pretty. Here I'm just doing a cut crease with the same brush, cleaned off, and I try to mimic the other side, and the shape turned out alright. On the recently deceased side, I wanted to do a gradient of the magenta, the dark purple, and the greens, and in the end, it turned out pretty good. And now here's the result of both eye looks, cleaned up. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish my face makeup and then go back to the eyeshadow because I don't like applying concealer over shadow on the bottom part of my eyes. So we'll be back in 1, 2, and 3. Here on the under eye, I'm applying the chili pepper and the sangria shade blended out together. Then I applied the dupe of Juno, which is that dark brown silver. And I moved on to the other side, and I did the same thing with the green and the purple. For the inner corner, I used that green from the Kaleido Sci-Fi palette. And this is how the looks both turned out, very pretty up close. As far, not as pretty. And these are the looks. That was basically it for the video. It was a super long video, I bet, and I'm very sorry about that, but hopefully maybe you have some similar shades or tones in your collection, and if not, maybe they're worth picking up. I'm still undecided if I want to buy it because they're very expensive, and yeah, I've never watched BeetleJuice, so I'm not sure, but I guess we'll see. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. If you have any other requests, please leave them down below, and as always, remember to stay true to yourself.